In the 1830s in southern China, a man named Hong Xiuquan failed the entrance exams to the Chinese civil service 4 times. After the 4th exam in 1837, he began to enter deliriums and have visions. In one, he claimed he was visited by a great paternal figure in the sky. Over the next few years, he began studying the Christian literature which was brought in by early Protestant missionaries to the region, and became convinced that the paternal figure was God and he was the brother of Jesus, and began preaching. Along with the religious teachings, he also preached against the Qing dynasty and in favor of great social and land reforms, thus appealing to the population in this period of turmoil. The increasing population of China left millions poor and unemployed, and the ruling Qing dynasty became the focus of rising discontent. The Qing were also Manchus, and the more populous Han Chinese saw them as foreign invaders. Plus, in 1842, the Qing were humiliated by the British in the First Opium War. So, by January 1851, Hong had gained tens of thousands of followers and established the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom in Guangxi. The Chinese government tried to suppress the movement the following month, but Hong's well-organized followers were able to drive them away. From here, the Taiping moved east and captured Yong'an in September, and Hong was proclaimed the Heavenly King, while a few of his closest followers were made subordinate kings and princes. The Qing tried again to crush the uprising by laying siege to Yong'an, but in April 1852, the Taiping smashed their way through the besiegers and began to advance again. They sacked the city of Guangzhou, but failed to take Guilin and Chansha. They then pushed north again, gained tens of thousands of new recruits, and captured the important city of Wuhan in early 1853. They soon left Wuhan, but took with them the city's gold and, more importantly, boats. Their new navy allowed the Taiping to sail on the Yangtze River and conquer Nanjing, the historic capital of China. Nanjing was made capital of the heavenly state, but the Taiping began driving north once again. An expedition of about 70,000 men left to Peking, but poor supply lines and costly conflicts with the Qing forced them to retreat in 1855. However, the Qing could not capitalize on the Taiping's failures because of a number of issues facing the country in the mid-1850s. In the north, the anti-Manchu Nian rebellion intensified in 1855, the Miao revolted in Guizhou, the small Knight Society rebelled in Shanghai, Muslims rebelled in Dali, the Nepalese invaded Tibet, and the British started the Second Opium War. Despite this, the Qing were still able to lay siege to Nanjing. Inside Nanjing, the Taiping were also dealing with their own problems. Hong retreated into his palace and away from public life, and many of the strict laws were not being followed. They were able to break the siege in 1856, but this only led to a power struggle and eventual civil war between Hong's subordinate kings. 2 kings and tens of thousands of men died during the civil war, while another, Shi Da Kai, fled the kingdom. With no more subordinate kings remaining, a military commander, Li Chucheng, and Hong's cousin, Hong Rengan, took over the running of the kingdom. Hong Rengan looked to reform the nation's economy and mindset, but in 1860, Li launched a campaign to expand. His armies took Guangzhou and Suzhou, and then they assaulted Shanghai. However, Western powers did not like this new threat, as they had a considerable commercial interest in Shanghai after the Second Opium War had concluded. So, during the Battle of Shanghai, which lasted until 1862, thousands of British and French aided the Qing in driving the Taiping back. The Qing, led by the likes of British General Charles George Gordon, pursued the Taiping back to Nanjing and lay siege in 1864. The constant back and forth of armies left the countryside plundered, and many were dying of starvation and disease, including the armies of the Taiping. Plus, the armies constantly massacred city's inhabitants, which brought the death toll of the conflict to about 20 million people, making it one of the most deadly events in human history. The Qing entered Nanjing in the summer of 1864 to find the people starving, and Hong had already died, possibly of food poisoning, weeks earlier. The Heavenly Kingdom therefore came to an end. However, many of the rebels continued fighting until 1871. The Taiping Rebellion, along with the countless other rebellions and wars, greatly weakened the Qing dynasty, and was another disastrous event in China's century of humiliation, a century which concluded with the overthrow of the monarchy in the early 20th century.